You, the saga continues. A lot of Black Americans are speaking out and they're saying that it is the Asian people's fault that the Black people are no longer going to these Asian businesses. The Asian Americans, they feel like they want to take revenge. They feel like Black people are just doing too much when it comes to not doing their business, not, boycotting their businesses. Black people are saying, well, let's not call it boycott. Let's clean it up and make it sound sweet. We're just doing the best for us. But it did start off as a boycott because it started off with Rick Child. That Asian man killed that Black boy, ran him down and killed him. And from that's how we got here from boycotting. It wasn't just because we decided to do it. It was because that Asian dude at that store accused that Black boy of stealing water, and he ran him down. He didn't steal the water, and he killed him anyway. And he got away with it. All right. So let's watch these videos and let me know your thoughts about this. Check this out.
It's control.
To the Asian man who challenged all Black people to boycott all Asian businesses, I'd like to say thank you. We haven't seen a level of unity and camaraderie this large since probably George Floyd. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't know if Black people would have ever gotten to this point where we all unified under one singular movement this way. Like it is powerful. The Asian people are starting to feel the effects of what you have done. This is impacting your people more than it's impacting my people. We are uniting against this. You have destroyed Asian businesses. That's you. You did that. And I'd like to thank you for getting my people to work together on something like this. This means the world to me. And to the Asian people who are hurting because of the decisions and the words that this person has said, you know who to come for. He did this to you, not us. He said we don't want you guys. So
an Asian content creator got on this here internet wearing what can only be described as a Black American starter kit and decided to tell Black people that our money doesn't matter. Okay. According to him, Black people need Asian-owned businesses more than Asian-owned businesses need Black people. A boycott.
So one thing I find absolutely fascinating about racist and racism and anti-Blackness as an institution is that oftentimes people who participate in this will cut the nose to spite the face, thinking they're showing us something. So I'm sure you've all heard of Black people will now be boycotting Asian-owned businesses. Fair. But now you have Asian people logging onto social media saying how they never needed Black people's money anyways. Babes, you set up a bunch of businesses in predominantly Black neighborhoods, but more specifically poor Black neighborhoods. And proximity to whiteness is not going to save you. Those other people are not going to come to the bad side of town to make sure your business stays afloat. That beauty supply store you set up in the hoods that are filled with Black hair care products is a business model that is dependent upon Black patronage. Do you think white folks won't come from across town to get Chinese takeout in the hood? But you'd rather dig your heels in than hold your own accountable. And I'm saying this as a business owner myself. You cannot alienate yourself from your consumer base and think you're going to be successful. There is no one else who can patronize these businesses because no one else goes into poor Black neighborhoods but other Black people. And that includes Black people who aren't even from that neighborhood. They will go to those neighborhoods to get to the Black beauty supply store because that's the only place that sells our hair care products at an affordable price. But sure, you sure showed us damn empty stores.
Racism is brought up in the Asian American community, there seems to be this knee-jerk reaction to say, well, we're not racist, but we have a lot of racism perpetrated against us. And there's this immediate defensiveness to say, well, I've experienced so much racism in my life and you just don't understand it and you're trying to silence me right now. As if acknowledging that there is anti-Blackness in the Asian community is somehow invalidating any discrimination or racism that individual Asian people have experienced in their life. I think there's two parts of this that are interesting to me. One is something I've talked about before, which is that a lot of people in the Asian community don't have the same awareness that, yes, we are people of color and that we do face racism and prejudice, but in very different ways than members of the Black community do. The second part of this is I wonder if some of this defensiveness is coming from the ways in which a lot of us were socialized and raised to not rock the boat, to be quiet, and to just kind of take whatever it is that's thrown at us. And now that we are adults and we have platforms and we can talk to cameras, a lot of us are really embracing that and really making up for lost time in terms of being able to talk about our experiences and the ways in which we face discrimination in the past. Unfortunately, a lot of people are using their voice not to stand in solidarity with other communities of color, but to say, I will not be silenced anymore, and I need to be listened to. You will not invalidate my experiences of prejudice or discrimination any longer. It is not incumbent upon the Black community to have grace for and teach that part of our community. If it's incumbent upon anybody, I think it's other members of the Asian community to say, hey, we all know what living as an Asian person in this country feels like. And it's not always easy and it's not always good. But the ways in which racism is perpetrated against members of the Black community is also very different than what we feel. And we just don't know what that's like. And that acknowledgement in no way undermines or threatens your understandings of the racism that you have faced. We can talk about how Rick Chow's
cannot understand Asian American history without understanding Black history. And the sooner you understand why, the sooner you'll stop being a fucking tool. So there's actually a name for this. It's called racial triangulation. And this starts with the stereotypes that white supremacy assigns. Black Americans get hit with racism and Asian Americans get hit with xenophobia. Want more Asian people to understand that model minority is not a fucking compliment. When people talk about model minorities, it's usually from a place of like, oh, why can't you just like shut up and be like these nice, obedient Asian people? This model minority stuff is a way to like pit Asian people and Black people against each other. It's often used in a way to gaslight into thinking that racism doesn't exist. It's fucking bullshit. Because the second it becomes useful to scapegoat you, it's going to happen. Case in point, remember the China virus a couple of years ago? Now with this Rick Chow case, this is being framed as some kind of like Asian versus Black issue. The harm is real. The anti-Blackness in Asian communities is real. I am not excusing it, but I think we also need to ask who's benefiting from this dynamic? Who is benefiting when our communities are beefing with each other? The more I dig into this, the more I'm starting to see that it's not random, it's systemic. And I'm going to speak directly to my fellow Asian Americans. If you believe that, oh, maybe if I just obey the status quo and be a good boy, I'll be accepted. No, stop being a fucking tool. Conditional acceptance is not acceptance.
Was initially the Asian business ban or boycott. It went from a boycott to a ban real quick, and now as you can see, the stores are empty. This is on a Monday. This is around 5 o'clock after work time. Normally this is a good time to find this store very busy. Even during the weekday, it doesn't matter. And the fact that it's this empty is very telling. They dared us and we came. We saw, and we are conquering. I'm so proud of my community. I'm proud of everybody who is not shopping and who is intentionally looking for Black-owned businesses for your needs. And I just want to say thank you to everybody, because this little boy's life will not be in vain. Ashe.
I support the economic boycott that the Black community has been calling for against Asian-owned businesses. And here's why. You should never spend your time and energy in people that don't see you as humans. That if you went into their store, you would fear for your life. So let me give you an example. Anytime I want to eat Mediterranean food, I've learned that Mediterranean is a very loose term for a region that's currently being colonized. I'll call the restaurant and just straight up ask, is this restaurant owned by an Israeli person? And or is the head chef an Israeli person? If they say yes, I say, well, that's unfortunate because I cannot support a restaurant that supports genocide in an apartheid state. And not only that, I'm going to put your name on a list that I started in 2023, which is just my Excel spreadsheet, with other friends who also don't support Zionist institutions. And also on a tangent, like, what is Israeli food? These are the lengths that I am willing to go through in not supporting a business that doesn't see every human with dignity. We should already be boycotting corporations. Like, for example, Hyundai, which is a Korean company, their bulldozers are currently tearing down homes in the West Bank of occupied Palestine. So they're displacing the indigenous people. We should be boycotting, or at the very least, not buying the latest iPhone every year, because Apple is illegally mining cobalt and coltan in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and using slave labor to dig out.
The issue with the idea of boycotting Asian businesses is that boycotts need an end game. They need a goal that you're trying to reach. And the Asian American community is so diasporic, by which I mean they are so not united, both by lines of nationality, but also by lines of like class and caste, that unless your explicit goal is just, we don't want any Asian business.
It literally fucking pisses me off. Like, we are literally so uneducated, uninformed, just misinformed, everything about the Black community, and it pisses me off. And like, it just boggles my mind how a lot of Asians see Black people as beneath them. I shit you not, I literally saw someone on my story and I literally was so gagged. Like, I was like, are you serious right now? And I sent him a message, ask him if he's being serious about this. This guy is Bhutanese. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but like, I guess he got like some kind of spray tan or whatever because he's doing some kind of stupid movie shoot or whatever. Roy posts on his story and says, because his skin is like 10 shades darker or something, he said, can I say the N-word now? With a ninja emoji next to it. I slid up so fucking quick and I asked this man, are you fucking serious right now? And guess what? That man left me on red. Need I say again that he is not Black? He is Bhutanese from Bhutan or whatever the fuck you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Quite honestly, like, the Asian community is literally so underhandedly racist to the Black community, and it just, like, not to mention the Black community is one of the most supportive of marginalized groups that has ever, like, uplifted the Asian community and actually put effort into supporting us. I'm probably going to piss a lot of Asians off for saying that, but it's literally...
Wouldn't move anything. The loss wouldn't register. Our dollars don't count. Now, this might just be me, but if I genuinely believed that somebody's money didn't matter, I don't think I'd spend my afternoon making a video about it. So naturally, I went looking at the history. Because this conversation isn't really about just one video, right? The very second that Black people start talking economics, where our money goes, who profits from it, who builds wealth off our communities, people get uncomfortable. That same discomfort doesn't appear when other groups do the same thing. Every immigrant community that's come to this country has done it. Jewish, Chinese, Korean, Italian, Indian, Armenian, pooling resources, building businesses, keeping their money inside their communities for as long as possible. Nobody finds that controversial, though. But what they fail to recognize is that we understood the same thing. We had to. After slavery, Black communities built banks, hospitals, insurance companies, schools, newspapers, whole business districts. The Greenwood neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma had 191 businesses. It had 2 schools, a hospital, and a library, all by 1921. They called it Black Wall Street. But on May 31st, 1921, a white mob attacked it. 2 days of looting, burning, and shooting. But it's us, right? We're the problem. 35 square blocks destroyed. More than 1,200 Black homes, businesses, schools, and churches, y'all, burned to the ground. World War I era planes dropped bombs from the sky on the Greenwood neighborhood. The official death toll was 36. But we know the estimates were around 300 Black people killed, murdered. The survivors were rounded up and held in internment camps in their own city. They were issued identification cards and couldn't leave without permission from a white supervisor. Insurance companies refused every claim. They had something called a riot clause. Not a single Black resident ever received financial assistance to rebuild. So when somebody gets on the internet and tells Black people that our money doesn't matter, I automatically think they're a dumbass. A racist dumbass. Corporations spend billions chasing Black consumers. Political campaigns spend millions trying to reach Black voters. Entire industries are built around marketing to Black communities. Our money matters. It mattered enough to burn a city for it in 1921. It mattered enough to redline neighborhoods for the next 50 years. It matters enough that every quarter, somebody's profit and loss statement depends on us showing up. Apparently our money matters right up until we start talking about where we want to spend it. Then all of a sudden it doesn't. Right? Nobody's entitled to Black customers. We spend our money where we want. That's how markets work. That's how capitalism works. That's how every other community inside this country operates. The fact that this becomes a controversy every time Black people say it out loud tells me that this was never about money. It was about leverage. And this country has been comfortable with Black spending. It's Black leverage that's always made them nervous. But if you know anything about me, you know I love a good challenge. Shop Black. Spend with your people. I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you. We gonna show you better than we can tell you. Invest in Black businesses. Build the community. Y'all, we are overdue.
So I made some videos earlier this week regarding the Black community boycotting, or I guess more appropriately, the blackout of Asian businesses, right? And I will say some of the responses I've gotten from Asian people have been hella weird. So let's talk about it. First of all, let me say this. If you are a palm-colored person, sorry, I had to get my coffee. What was I saying? Any of you palm-colored people, I don't know if it wasn't obvious, you actually have no seat at the table for this conversation. So I'm gonna need you to jump, especially if you bitches wanna form your mouth to say that I'm somehow being anti-Asian. No, bitch, if you don't come over here and suck my entire dick. Anyways, let's address some of the comments that I've gotten. Because here's the thing, you guys, 99% of the comments have been like amazing and really supportive and great, and I appreciate that. But y'all know how it is, you focus on that 1%. And I'm trying this thing now where I don't just assume that all of those comments are gonna be trolls, because I don't want to like miss actual valid constructive feedback because I just wrote someone off as a troll, you know what I mean? So let's talk about some of these. First, there's this person that's commented multiple times. You're calling for a boycott of South Asian businesses. You don't realize that there are some people that are half Black, half South Asian that have businesses. So you're calling for a boycott of their businesses. You're being anti-Black. Oh. Bitch, did you watch my video? That had to be a troll. That had to be a troll, right? If you look at all of my other videos, because this person's commented on my other videos, you can see that I'm not one of those accounts that's like constantly calling out racism and hatred and all those things. And no offense to those accounts, bitch. I think accounts that are consistently educating our own people, those are amazing accounts. Do you know what I mean? Like one of my besties on here, y'all know Ariana Merchant. I fucking ride for her. She is constantly holding our people accountable and educating. That just takes so much out of someone. Like I have so much respect for her. That's just not what I do. Like when I tell y'all, people like Ariana are the ones that deserve a platform. Bitches like me, I'm literally just out here walking around drinking my coffee every day, obsessing over some trivial ass shit, drinking 20 ass smoothies when I'm in LA. Fuck me. The thing about me, I'm never gonna shy away from any of these topics, and if I feel moved to talk about them, I will. Anyone who's been following me on TikTok for a while, you already know. The thing I'm starting to realize, maybe Instagram is not as strict as TikTok when it comes to some of this content, because y'all, when I pop off on someone, last year I got 3 strikes in 1 week on TikTok, so I had to cool it on some of this content. But anyways, back to the focus. I get comments on my other videos of me just like vlogging, going around, getting my coffee, and they're like, oh, boycott Asian businesses. I'm gonna go support a Black influencer. 100%. More Black influencers need to be supported. But bestie, if you watch my video in full and then you comment that, you're not helping to suppress me or boycott me. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather you just block me and then go actually put your money where your fucking mouth is and go support Black creators. Please. There's so many amazing Black creators that have no support that need it. But I'm willing to bet you don't actually care about supporting Black creators, do you? You just wanted to dunk on me. So address me directly and keep them out of your fucking mouth. And then lastly, let me address this. There are some Black people from this entire conversation that are saying, I will fuck with Asian businesses that fuck with me. I will support an Asian business if they are nice to me. Great. I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. But there are also Black people that are saying, I will never support any Asian business again based on their history. I will only support Black owned. I have no problem with that. I don't know if people think that that's something that I should be denouncing. No, bitch. The whole point of this is leave Black people alone. Let Black people have their feelings and let them make their own decisions. We are not entitled to their business. We're not entitled to their money. What are you not getting? Jesus Christ. Oh, bitch, I lied. I got a couple more things, actually. Next, the virtue signaling. Fair. I'm the morality police. I'm just doing this for engagement. That is your opinion. That is your feeling. I can't really argue against your feeling. Feel how you want. Here's the thing. I'm gonna piss off a bunch of my haters when I say this. Last month, I got 2 brand deals. And I got paid for them. One of them was net 30, one of them was net 15. It's 2026, fucker. The thing about me, I'm well aware that I can make videos like this, pop off, they'll get so many views. On Instagram, my first video about this entire subject has like, I don't know, 500,000 views right now. If I wanted to just get a shit ton of followers and engagement on every single video, I would continue talking about these things. I only talk about them when I feel compelled, when I feel like I have something to contribute to the conversation. I'm not just gonna go spit out the same thing everyone else is saying just for what, the views? Now let's acknowledge the fucking privilege in that alone. Do you see me, bitch? Do you hear me? Clearly, so much of who I am, my personality, the music I listen to, the shows I watch, so much of that is influenced by the Black community. That is not something I can deny, nor would I want to. I may not be a business owner that takes money from the Black community, but I've been influenced plenty. And quite literally, it's not that difficult to give credit where credit is due. When I first started doing this, when I had about 5,000 followers on TikTok, I knew that I didn't want to be one of those creators if I ever got any form of a following. Every 4 years, when the election comes at the very last minute, get out there and give a vague little speech about going to vote and exercising your right, even just flat out saying vote fucking Democrat, and having half of my following be like, I can't believe you would say this, I didn't follow you for this, I never wanted you to be political. Who is calling me? I genuinely believe that if I ever got those comments from people, I have failed. I have failed. Because even though the majority of my content is me dicking around in cities and drinking coffee and going to Erewhon and getting $20 fucking smoothies, 17 of that in a weekend. Now in the last week, I've gotten probably like 7,000 new followers on Instagram. And I'm willing to bet 99% of them think I'm gonna keep making videos only like the 2 that they saw. And the thing is, that's just not exclusively the content I make. I am quite literally a gay brown man that is ADHD as fuck, that hyperfixates on smoothies and fucking coffee. Literally the most trivial fucking shit, but at least y'all know exactly where the fuck I stand. Juice Pod, I'm gonna be honest, this Hailey Bieber dupe, the texture is great. It's very thick. It's the closest dupe in terms of that, but like, there really is no flavor to this. There's like no sweetness or like any distinctive flavor. Did I fuck up? Honestly, y'all know most of the fucking Erewhon smoothies taste like cold nothing, so close, Juice Pod. If y'all want, this is the closest Philly dupe. Anyways, bye.
Yes, period.
And dry cleaners and laundromats, because we didn't choose those jobs. We were actually forced into them due to the anti-Asian laws created by white Americans and white European immigrants. And the only reason why those businesses survived was largely because of the support of Black people. But a lot of you bootlickers don't know your history. And for that, I'm gonna have to take you to school.
Domain expansion. Infinite TED Talk.
What's up, everyone? My name is Rainier, and this is the true history of boycotting Asian businesses. You see, before Chinese restaurants and gas stations and beauty supply stores, the first Chinese migrants were actually in America in the 1800s during the California Gold Rush, and then to build the Transcontinental Railroad across the West Coast. But when the gold ran out and the final train tracks were laid, the American economy fell into a depression, and poor white Americans and European immigrants started to feel threatened by Chinese labor. And so what do? They joined anti-coolie clubs, and they advocated for anti-coolie laws that would limit the opportunities of Chinese laborers and tax anybody who hired Chinese workers. The racism was so bad that Chinese people were hunted down in their neighborhoods, beaten up by mobs of white men, or just straight up lynched in the streets. This violence is a big reason why Chinatowns were created in the first place. They are ghettos. They are safe spaces where Chinese people could set up shop and live together. But because of these anti-coolie laws, the only businesses that they could set up and get financing for were restaurants, grocery stores, and laundromats. Quick side note, so you should definitely watch the Warrior series because it's based on the writings of Bruce Lee, and it's set in the 1870s during all this anti-Asian racism. But even though Black people were fighting their own freedoms at the time, they still took the initiative to speak up for Asians. And in 1869, the great Frederick Douglass gave the Composite Nation speech, where he said, "Let the Chinaman come. He will help to augment the national wealth. He will help to develop our boundless resources. He will help to pay off our national debt. He will help to lighten the burden of our national taxation. He will give us the benefit of his skill as a manufacturer and as a tiller of the soil in which he is unsurpassed." Then in 1871 in Los Angeles, a mob of 500 white men robbed Chinese businesses and killed 19 Chinese immigrants. Hatred was so commonplace that companies would release advertisements to sell their laundry products using anti-Chinese racism. And then decades later, when the Hoover Company needed to sell washing machines, they published this ad over here depicting Chinese laundromat workers being displaced by automation. Now, if you watched Sinners, you probably remember the two Asian characters over here who ran a grocery store. And a lot of people were kind of confused why they were included, but that's because many Asians who left the West Coast due to a lack of work and racism, they fled to the South to work on sugar and cotton plantations. Many of those same Asians set up grocery stores in those black neighborhoods, which means black people were speaking up for Asians on the West Coast and putting dollars into our businesses in the American South. Fast forward to the 1980s when Vincent Chin was bludgeoned to death with a baseball bat by two white men who thought that Vincent was Japanese. Ronald Ebens and Michael Nitz recently lost their job at the Chrysler factory, and they blamed the Japanese car market for destroying the American automotive industry, and so they killed Vincent Chin. And when the Asian community needed to seek justice, who showed up for us? Jesse Jackson. I could honestly keep going, but I'm going to end on this note. If you know the Disney movie, The Jungle Book, then you know the author of the original book, Rudyard Kipling. But what you might not know is that Rudyard also infamously created the poem, The White Man's Burden, which symbolizes the pain and the struggle of being a white man who is responsible for carrying African, Asian, Latino, and indigenous people out of the jungles of barbarism into the promised land of civilization. But for a lot of you bootlickers, you seem to think that just because you're in another basket that you're better than black folks, even though we've worked on the same plantations and we've been lynched by the same angry mobs. You're trying so hard to get invited to the picnic, even though history has proven that we'll never truly be accepted by them. And in fact, history shows us the opposite. History has shown us that even though black people have no reason to invite us to the cookout, for well over a century, they have still had the heart to save us a plate. So to all you ungrateful Asian bootlickers out there crying about black people boycotting Asian businesses, just know that this protest doesn't come from nowhere. It came from over 100 years of showing love to Asian people and not receiving that same love and support in return.